module, we're going to discuss comedy etiquette, the do's and don'ts of stand-up comedy. You want to get booked at the end of the day, you want to get booked, and what you don't want to do is upset the booker, upset other comedians, get a reputation as a joke stealer. These things you just don't want to start. Once you've got a reputation as a joke stealer, you'll probably have that reputation throughout your career. You're a brand at the end of the day. So things you do, things you say, behaviour, it's all about keeping a good reputation and a good name in the business and not letting some silly mistake that you might make early on tarnish the rest of your career. So pay a particular attention to these lessons, and it really will pay dividends for you in the long run. In this lesson, we're going to talk about contacting bookers. And that contact really is like a job interview. So find out what the preferred method of contact is. Typically, it's an email. So email the booker, give them a rundown of your experience, where you are from, where you're at comedically, have you got 5 minutes, 10 minutes, a couple of other comedians that you've performed with that might vouch for you. And it really is so important, if you can, to get a nice clip, a 1 or 2 minute clip of your act, preferably getting laughs, because bookers will clip I'll always look at a clip that someone sends me. I never not look. I'll always look as a booker, because you might be thinking, God, this might be the next big thing. So I'll click that, I'll look at it for 1 or 2 minutes, but I'm not interested in watching 20 minutes of anyone. So I'll watch that, and then I'll book based on that clip. That's it. Be polite, be respectful, be keen, but don't be a nuisance and bombard people with emails. Pretty much that's how bookers like it. In the resources below, we've a template that you can download that will give you the basic structure of an email to send to bookers. In this lesson, we're going to talk about honesty. It's important to be honest in this business. So I guess promise less, deliver more. If a booker asks you how long you've got and you say, I've got 7 minutes of gold, then fantastic. We know that we can book you on safely for 7 minutes. Don't say you've got 25 minutes of quality comedy and we put you on for 15 and you fail at 7. It's just not, just be honest all times, okay? We'll always find work for funny people. We just want to know where you're at in the pecking order, so where we can book you. So be honest. And we all know other clubs. I know clubs all over Australia, some clubs all over the world. So, and I'll pick the phone up and say, what's this person like? So just be honest, and it just saves a lot of time. Yeah, so basically, be honest, be upfront about where you're at in your comedy, and you can't go wrong. See you in the next lesson, all right? In this lesson, we're going to talk about attitude. Attitude is everything. So how you, just basically the way you are, the way you act. It's be nice, be polite, be pleasant, say hello to the staff at the venues, get to know the people on the door, because a lot of the time you'll be going to comedy clubs, and if you get to know them and you're pleasant, they won't even charge you. After a few weeks, they'll start letting you in for nothing, which is quite important when you're starting in comedy. So yeah, be nice, be a decent person, respect others. The worst thing you could be doing as a new comedian is talking loud at the back of the venue when someone else is on stage. It's so disrespectful. And as a booker, when I see that, it really does annoy me. And I will make a particular thing to say to myself, that person's, not that, I don't think I like that person. I don't like their attitude. If you're going to be on stage at a show, don't be sitting in the audience. It just is disconcerting if a comedian that you know as a comedian, there's another comedian sitting staring at you. So don't sit in the audience. If you want to watch the show, it's normal for comedians to stand at the back of the venue quietly. Stand at the back of the venue and enjoy the show. See what's going on. Immerse yourself in the community. Watch as much comedy as you can. Go to as many venues as you can. Before I started actually getting up on stage, it was a year before. I went to every event I could go to, every comedy club, anything to do with comedy. I watched for a year before I plucked up enough courage to get on stage. So I think once you've had that experience and you've watched what's going on, you are better prepared to be a comedian. I don't think you should necessarily, the first time you enter a comedy club is when you're actually going on stage. I think you should do a little bit of research first. So to recap, be polite, be humble, be a nice person to be around, and that will pay dividends. In this lesson, we're going to talk about the importance of saying yes to everything. So you're at the beginning of your career, so you want to get as much time on stage as possible, and you really do learn from the bad gigs a lot more than you do from the good ones. And a lot of those early days gigs will be bad. They'll be cancelled. You get halfway there, the gigs will be postponed or cancelled. You'll spend more money on petrol than you're ever going to make. There's so many scare stories, but they do make you a better comedian at the end of it. And if you've got a reputation of saying yes, you're the first person, as time goes on and you get better, you're the first person that a booker will phone and go, Christ, someone's dropped out, we need someone, phone up, Bill Bloggs. So we phone you and you turn up and you're reliable. So be reliable, say yes to everything as much as you possibly can, in your early stages of your career, that is. It's important to say yes to everything, or as much as possible anyway. But remember, don't spread yourself too thin on the ground either. Because if you've said yes to 6 gigs in 1 hour, it's not going to work, is it? So say yes to as much as you can, but be sensible and be well planned. Get your diary right. If you're going to let gigs overlap between 2 different venues, if there's any overlap, then perhaps forewarn the booker that you'll be there at a certain time no matter what, but you will be there on time at least for the gig, because you don't want the poor old booker pulling his hair out waiting for you to come running up the stairs to jump on stage, at a moment's notice. It's too stressful. So be honest again about where you are, where your timing is, what time you can get there, and there won't be any arguments that way. Yeah, so when you get booked, don't annoy the booker by going to him or her and saying, oh, I have to be first up, or I can only be last on the lineup because I've got other gigs. That is an absolute no-no. You're an entry-level comedian. It's not your place to decide where you go on the lineup. That's the booker's job. We book according to, typically, what makes the best show. So we know if it's a high-energy act, they've got to close. If it's a newer act, they've got to open up at the beginning. They're not the ones that close. So we have to structure our night accordingly, not around your schedule. If you've overbooked yourself, that's really not the booker's problem. It's your problem, and you'll upset a few people, and it will cause problems. So I've said say yes to everything, but be sensible about it, and certainly don't try to dictate where you go on the lineup, because it's totally not acceptable. No one likes that, no bookers or other acts. Other acts have waited for their turn to be put on the lineup. They don't come marching in and saying, oh, I can only go on at headline, or, just remember where you are in the pecking order. In this lesson, we're going to talk about cancelling gigs. Cancelling gigs is pretty much a no-no, and there isn't really any excuse to cancel a gig apart from you're on death's door or you actually are dead. Bookers don't want excuses. We don't really care about excuses. At the end of the day, we've booked you, we expect you to turn up. So don't cancel gigs, #1 golden rule. If, for example, though, you are offered a spot on a TV show or something, and then for that reason you can't be at the gig, then at the very least, don't just cancel, but explain to the booker that's giving you that gig what's going on, and could they live with the fact that if you didn't do it because it's such a great opportunity for you that you really don't want to, cancel the gig, but you also don't want to turn down that booker that's giving you the gig, So to try and keep everyone happy, just be polite, be honest, and just ask the question. Okay, 9 times out of 10, when this sort of things happen to me as a booker, I've said, no problem, we'll find a replacement for you. It's a big opportunity, I wouldn't want you to lose it. But what I don't like to see, and what no booker wants to see, is you cancelling a gig because you've got a headache or you're sick, only to see you on Facebook at another gig down the road. Absolute no. You would pretty much be dead to me if I saw that happen. So, and I think most bookers would be in the same boat. So please don't cancel gigs. If you're the type of person that doesn't value a gig because it's unpaid, then to be honest, you're in the wrong business. There's not a business full of money at the beginning. It's largely unpaid, right? Stop worrying about payment. Just worry about how good you are first. And then you'll be surprised how many paid gigs come your way. So don't undervalue a gig because it's unpaid. Every gig is an opportunity for you to get better and get laughs. And so please don't disrespect unpaid gigs. In the event, whatever the reason, you have to cancel a gig, give the booker as much time as possible to just not turn up with some lame excuse about broken down car or something. It's just not acceptable. You know what's going on, you know you're sick or whatever the reason, you've got time to let the booker know so he's not to expect you. Please just have common courtesy and let the booker know. In this lesson, we're going to discuss not talking during the show, watching what's going on. So you've came there to that night to watch the show or to perform. Either way, typically you'll be at the back of the venue watching what's happening. Now, you shouldn't be talking amongst yourselves to other comedians anyway. That's really rude and disrespectful to the person on stage. That's a complete no-no. But also, by doing that, you're missing out on watching what's happening, what the audience are laughing at, what sort of audience there are. You know, are there a big group from a works function in? Should you be addressing that? So don't waste your time waffling on to other comedians. You can do that after the show, but when the show's on, watch the show, watch and learn, basically. That's what you should be doing. Remember, when you're at a show, watching the show, as a comedian, it's a reconnaissance mission, it's a research, it's a lesson. It's not just you having a good time watching other comedians. You should be trying to watch the comedians, what they're doing, what's working, what's not working, looking at the audience, see what seems to be the thing, what's the flavour of the month, what people are laughing at the most. There's opportunities to learn and get better, not there to have fun at the end of the day, right? It's get better, watch and learn and listen. That's all it's all about. In this lesson, we're going to discuss comedy club etiquette. One of the most important things is punctuality. So make sure that you turn up in plenty of time for the gig. Typically, I'd say half an hour before the show starts. That's what I consider as an acceptable time to turn up. Some comedians turn up a lot earlier, but half an hour before. It's not acceptable to turn up just as the show starts. It just isn't fair on the booker, because who knows, as an open micer, you don't know where you're going to be placed on the lineup. What if you're up first? So you're going to be coming into the venue all flustered, running onto the stage. It's just not acceptable. So be there in plenty of time. At least then you can look at the running order and get your head around when you're on during the show. It's important when you arrive at the venue to check in so that the booker knows, or the MC sometimes, knows that you're in the venue, because they are going to be calling your name on stage, and if they don't even know you're there, it's very awkward when we call someone on stage and they're not even in the venue. So check in on arrival. There's certain green room etiquette, really. So it's important that in a big lineup, and it's a big open mic show, that you're in the green room waiting to be called onto stage. I'd say 1 or 2, even 3 acts before you're on the list. Because what can happen is the person that's before you doesn't even turn up, or isn't on the, for some reason or another, they just go home, they get scared. So the next name on the list will be yours. So be there in the green room, 1, 2, 3 acts even in front, so that you don't have that awkwardness, because it's very hard for the poor OMC when he brings onto the stage and there's no one, and then he'll call another name out, and sometimes they'd have also gone home or not showed up, so it's you next. So be prepared, because it's really awkward if you've come running in from the toilet or backstage or the back of the venue or something like that. It's just bad. So always be in the green room well in advance of your call time on stage. When you are in the green room, it's important to be honest, keep yourself to yourself. A lot of people don't like being talked to. They don't want a load of questions about the weather. They're in the zone, they're getting themselves into the zone. You should be getting yourself into the zone, getting ready to go on stage and deliver your act. So don't, just use common sense. Don't be bothering someone that's looking obviously uptight and nervous. Just leave them alone. You can do all the socialising after the show, but really don't worry about socialising too much in advance of the show or during the show. As a rule, in the green room, as a rule, if there's a big star in there or any big name comedian or any comedian that you're not familiar with and don't know, they'll talk to you if they want to talk. Don't be asking them questions, right? At the end of the day, they're in there to get in the zone. And if you're not on the lineup, there's no business whatsoever you should be in the green room at all. The only people allowed in the green room that should be in the green room are the actual performers. It's not even acceptable to have friends of performers or wives of performers in there. It's really the place to be while you're waiting to go on stage. Sort of chilling out, getting yourself ready for your performance. It's not a place to spend time socialising. To recap the comedy club etiquette, be on time, be prepared, keep out of the green room unless you're on, and don't be talking and bothering people while you're in the green room, because everyone's getting themselves ready for their performance, and that's all it's about. In this lesson, we're going to discuss stealing jokes. So it's probably the biggest no-no in stand-up comedy to steal jokes. Now, I don't know how I can explain it enough, how serious a crime it is in this business enough. It is a complete and utter no-no, all right? You just cannot do it. So what can happen, of course, is we've all heard about parallel thinking, where you can think of an idea, of course, and that someone else has already thought of that idea at a similar time and that. But at the end of the day, if you're an open mic comedian, an entry-level comedian, and your bit is very similar to some huge star, the chances are that you've either heard it, inadvertently remembered it, and you've poorly copied it. You might not have intentionally stolen it, but it's just not acceptable to continue doing that if it's been pointed out that someone else is already doing that bit. So you have to drop it. You can change it, you can alter it enough that makes it obvious that it's not that same bit, but it's a similar premise by all means, but you cannot copy or steal other people's material and jokes. It's completely unacceptable. It's one of those things that if you've got a reputation as being a joke stealer, that will stay with you pretty much forever. So just don't do it. It might be pointed out to you, and of course just drop it from that point on. Okay, it's just not worth it. If you're clever enough to have written a good bit, then write something else. It's just not worth your reputation. So stealing jokes, complete no-no. I've seen some really good acts, and my heart sinks when you know, in amongst a routine that may, by and large, be original, there's one or two lifted gags in there that you know aren't theirs, because you know they're not theirs because you've heard them 20, 30 years ago and they're only 20-year-old. So you just know they're stolen. And they'll convince and try and tell you till they're blue in the face that they've written that stuff. They've stolen it. Some way or another it's stolen. It just can't do it. So please don't do it. You will get found out. I think people might go to a bookshop and get an old joke book that's 60 years old, and they read it through and they use that material and thinking no one will ever find out. You always get found out. This business is full of comedy geeks that know everyone's routine off by heart. You'd be surprised. I cannot believe the encyclopedic knowledge of some comedians that know every single comedian's act word for word when someone's ripping it off. It's just unacceptable. So please don't do it. You're on a journey to disaster. You'll never progress in this industry if you're a joke thief. It's totally unacceptable. I can't say any more than that. Don't do it, don't do it, don't do it. All right, done. See you in the next lesson. In this lesson, we're going to discuss finding gigs. One way of absolutely guaranteeing you'll always have plenty of gigs is to be good. I know that sounds overly simple, but it really is the truth. If you're good, bookers are finding you. You don't need to find gigs. We'll hunt you down to give you work. So be good. Focus more energy on being good than any other thing, and I guarantee you will find gigs. Okay. But the usual commonsensical things, you look for your comedians groups in your locality. Every city, every town has usually got a few comedians that have set up their own Facebook group. If you haven't, set up your own. Get your own Facebook group going. Better still, start your own open mic night. Pretty much every open mic night starts with a few comedians that, I've done it myself, where you start your own night. So pretty much every open mic night begins because you get 2 or 3 comedians together who don't think they're getting the gigs they deserve. So they set their own room up and they've guaranteed themselves stage time. This is a really good thing to do. Set up your own open mic and you're pretty much guaranteeing yourself gigs. It's a lot of work, but it definitely is going to get you on stage a lot more often. So I would certainly look at that as the most important thing you can do, apart from being really funny. If you're really funny, again, you'll never run out of gigs, I promise. Anyway, so guys, be good at the end of the day. That's the most important thing. Be funny, be good, be pleasant, be nice to each other, work hard. These are the most important things. And have fun, enjoy that journey. I know, God, I'm sort of, again, I'll keep going on, but I'm so excited for you. It's such a brilliant thing, stand-up comedy. It's like religion. You can't, yeah, anyway, it's just the best thing in the world. So I'm so excited for you. You've completed the course, but remember, go back. Sometimes you're going to forget certain things or you're going to want to recap. So go back over the lessons. They're always there for you, those courses. It's really that community that we're trying to create here, a positive community of people that just want to make people laugh. You just want to get laughs and be funny. It's a wonderful thing. You've started the journey now. This is only the beginning, though. You've done the course, you've got your tools in your tool bag, and you're going to hit the world now and make them laugh. Be original. I've said that before, but be original. Be different. Be original. Be funny. Have fun. Be humble. Promise less. Deliver more. Fantastic. Congrats on the course. Keep us posted. We're still going to maintain and make sure that we keep interviews going. We're going to do our best to sort of keep that. It's like a club, I feel, you've joined. That's like you're part of my club here. You're part of our club. All our crew, all the people that work here. You're all part of that club as far as I'm concerned. So we don't just want to cast you aside. You've done the course. We want to keep us in the loop, keep us posted. And wherever possible, we'll try and help you as much as we can for your journey. And I do hope that some of you do knock on my door one day. I've had so much fun in this business for 20 odd years, and I think you're embarking on that same journey. It's so exciting, and I can't wait to see you. Please come knock on my door, jump up and take the roof off this venue. I'll be so thrilled. Yeah, so please look us up, keep in touch, and good luck.